Good evening and welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Emma Lingard. My guests tonight are Jane Merriman and Jackie Jex from the Grimsby Flower Lovers Club, who are here to talk about flower arranging. But first it's over to Richard Morris for the news.
Hello, in the headlines today, money has been set aside to help the victims of crime, and the Canadian Lancaster bomber is doing its last tour of the county before returning at the end of the month. A woman has been released on police bail until the 25th of November while enquiries continue into a suspected arson attack on Lancaster Avenue in Skegness. A building consisting of several flats was on fire and 6 residents had to be rescued by the Fire and Rescue Service and treated for smoke inhalation. Anyone who was around the area at around 1:30 p.m. on Saturday are urged to contact the police with any information. Nearly £500,000 has been set aside for victims of crime. The Humberside Police and Crime Commissioner, Matthew Grove, says the £400,000 fund is to provide practical and emotional support for services for victims. A further £50,000 has been granted for training and equipping volunteers to support victims of antisocial behaviour and nuisance crimes in the community.
Most of the money is targeted at the more serious crimes and at the most vulnerable victims and the most damaged victims. So obviously we focus a lot of the money towards domestic violence and towards the victims of sexual crime. But I want victims of other theoretically less serious crimes to also benefit, because it's not just about the nature of the crime, it's about the nature of the victim. So if you're an elderly person that's been a victim of some antisocial behaviour, some vandalism, then it's absolutely important that some of those people whose lives have been devastated by a minor crime, that they get some assistance to cope with it and recover from it.
Last week we told you about Tom Bennett, a local pilot from Lincoln who was competing in the Red Bull Air Race as part of the Challenger Cup. The good news is that Tom came second in the event, which was based at Ascot Racecourse. Red Bull sent us this interview with him shortly after his place.
I think the final in Spielberg is safe. I was thinking if I manage to get on the podium here at Ascot, then I'm going to be pretty secure with that. So managing to get second is great. I think I'm really looking forward to it already. So just start to focus on the next race really and see what I can do in the Challenger Cup. I'll still have Francois to try and beat, and Dan and a couple of other really solid pilots. So there's still a hell of a lot to do, but I'm going to give it my best shot. We got a little golf buggy to the ceremony, the prize giving ceremony, and there's lots of waves and lots of support. And it's really the first time I'd been amongst the audience and sort of experienced it, and I got a really great cheer. So it's just fantastic. It gives you such a boost, and I'm so proud to be representing Great Britain, at least in the Challenger series. So that's great.
The Lancaster Bombers are currently making a private visit to Humberside Airport. The event will be happening until Thursday and will be for private members only to see the 2 planes together. On Thursday, the planes will go to RAF Waddington and will depart for Norfolk after a formation flight with an Avro Vulcan and 2 Hawk aircraft. The planes will return to Lincolnshire on Sunday, August the 24th. Police are seeking information following an assault on Orchard Drive in Grimsby. A 42-year-old man was allegedly punched several times with a sharp item. He needed to receive treatment for superficial wounds at Grimsby Hospital. The suspect has been described as a white man around 5'9" tall with a slim build and wearing a dark-coloured top. £320,000, that's the savings target for Hull City Council. This means libraries could be at risk in the area. Holderness Library was one of the libraries facing possible closure.
Because I thought that wasn't very democratic. We didn't give the opportunity of the people in that area to have a say. And what we're doing, we're going to keep it open and look the ways and means of reducing the hours at that library like anywhere else. But we have a statutory obligation, and we should make sure we maintain a high level of service. I mean, we're trying to maintain a service even though it's going to be at a low level. In every library there will be a consultation paper with forms which they can fill in, and hopefully they'll take part in it. It's going to affect them, but not like many places in the country, up and down the country, they're closing. For example, in Lincolnshire, they're closing 35. And in Sheffield and Manchester, all those cities are closing.
That's all we've got time for now, and we'll be back with more news soon. If in the meantime you have a story for us, please call us on Grimsby 315561. Bye for now.
Now, the art of flower arranging can be dated back to the ancient Egyptians, as illustrations of arranged flowers have been found on carved stone and painted wall decorations. And it became an art form in the Victorian period when the rules for properly arranging flowers came into being. Well, here to tell us more is Jane Merriman, chairwoman of the Grimsby Flower Lovers Club, and Jackie Jecks, the vice president. Welcome both to the studio.
Hello. Thank you.
Now, it's very ancient, this flower arranging, isn't it? But just tell us, what is the appeal about it?
For me, flower arranging is more a creative process. It's about buying the flowers, thinking about the colours, thinking about what goes together,
Right.
and then actually transforming that bunch into that.
Yes.
When you've finished, there's a kind of like a buzz that, you know, I've done that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then somebody comes along and goes, that's really nice. And it's the creative thought process of going through it and actually doing it,
Right.
than just plonking it in a vase.
I was going to say, you've brought some beautiful arrangements with you, and I say it's better than mine just shoving them in a vase, and that'll do,
It's nice
isn't
to
it?
put them in a vase, though.
It is. There's nothing wrong with putting them in the vase, but you don't get the same buzz, probably.
I was going to say, these are absolutely stunning, aren't they? I mean, Jackie, just tell it, you know, what types of things do you do at the club then?
Well, you don't actually have to do flower arranging to
Okay.
come to the club. It's a monthly meeting, and we have a demonstrator each month who stands on the stage with lots of beautiful flowers and foliage and creates 5 or 6 big designs. And we just sit there and marvel at what they do. And then that's where we're fed our ideas from, really. It's from
Right.
watching and doing and
Learning.
playing,
Yeah.
learning. So people say, oh, I can't come to a club because I can't arrange flowers. Well, you don't have to be able to arrange flowers.
But you can pick up lots of tips,
Oh,
which
yes.
will obviously help as
Yes.
well. And you also have competitions, don't
Yep.
you? Or you enter competitions. What happens at these?
At the competition, well, we normally get sort of like a schedule
Right.
that tells
yes.
us what, and we've got our show coming up actually on the 1st of November.
Okay.
We have about 12 classes, and within that you choose the title, what you
Right.
want to do, so like, I don't know, Christmas Magic or something like that.
Yes, yeah,
You take away that title, think what could I do,
yeah.
come up with an idea, and provided it's within the NAFAS rules of, you know, it's the right height, it's
Okay.
within the right space.
Yes.
And have you used the different forms and colours and textures and all those elements and principles that we flower arrangers abide to, and properly a lot of other art forms
Right.
would recognise them.
Okay.
And then we just go, take our bits,
yeah.
arrange, have fun, talk to other people, meet people,
Yeah.
compliment each other,
Yes,
hopefully.
yeah.
Then the next day, after all the chaos and putting it all together, the judge comes along
Right.
and judges it to the set standards, and they've got to be trained,
Okay.
and then hopefully we get a prize.
I have seen, say, the Lincolnshire show, I've seen some fascinating
Mhm.
displays. And like you say, it is creative. It is an art form, really, isn't it?
You're given a title for a class. It's one title. 8 people can come along with
Yeah.
that title, and you'll get 8 totally different arrangements
It is-
because everybody
Yeah.
thinks differently.
Yes, they do. And so this is it. There is more to it. That whole art form, isn't
Yeah,
there?
it's more than sort of like my grandma having the vase and the
Yeah.
chicken wire and plonk, 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 plonk.
Yeah.
There it is on the coffee
It's
table.
more-
But you've got to think.
Now, going back to the flowers, I mean, one of the things when you're doing this, do some people grow their own flowers or do they use shop bought?
It's whatever you can get hold of.
Okay.
Some bits come from my garden. Maybe the
Yeah.
lavender came from the garden, the hydrangea came from the garden.
Right.
The rest was, I just went to the market, the Grimsby market, and they had a bouquet. And I
Right.
thought they look quite nice, they like those colours. I went
Yeah.
there, and then I went to the supermarket and bought some toning
Right.
filler flowers. So I shop around.
Yes,
I
because
suppose
people
that's
get
the
the
thing.
opinion that it's expensive to do,
Yeah.
but actually you don't have to have expensive flowers at
No, you
all.
don't. None of those
You
are
don't have
expensive.
to have flowers.
No.
Right.
My favourite
That was-
arrangements are foliage
That was all
ones.
under
Okay.
£10.
Wow, that is really good, isn't it? And then, you know, this is it. Looking at these, then you know you can do it at home, can't you? Really,
You can,
I suppose
you can.
Now we're going to have to cut it soon, but just tell us you've got some things coming up, haven't
Yeah,
you?
I've told you about the show.
You've
The
got
next-
your show, yeah.
The next big thing, a demonstrator. We've got a demonstrator coming to Whitgift Film Theatre
Okay.
on the 6th of September.
Okay,
Lots of posters. You can find us on Facebook,
right.
Grimsby Flower Lovers. That'll offer all the information that you need if you want to come and see a fantastic
Brilliant.
international demonstrator.
Fabulous. Thank you very much for coming in. And just to recap, the Grimsby Flower Lovers Club meets at the Humber Royal on the 4th Wednesday of each month. But now it's over to Dan Kemp for the sport.
Hull City were victorious in their first Premier League game of the new season. James Chester scored the only goal of the game in the 52nd minute against QPR, and despite a harshly awarded penalty against him late on, the Tigers held on to win, thanks to a save by Alan McGregor. Scunthorpe United didn't fare well against Preston though. The Iron lost 4-0, which ends their unbeaten run dating back to last November. Grimsby Town drew 1-1 at home to Dover Athletic. Pat McLaughlin's 74th minute deflective strike gave the Mariners the lead, but they were pegged back late on, and Townkeeper James McKeown then had to save a last-minute penalty to ensure they got away with the point. North Ferriby maintained their unbeaten start with a 2-2 draw against Gloucester. Nathan Jarman and Tom Denton with the goals. Back to Hull, and they're awaiting news of an injury sustained by £7 million signing Robert Snodgrass, who was forced off in the first half of their weekend defeat. The Scottish international injured his knee in a clash with Joey Barton. This may push Steve Bruce into more transfer dealings after already admitting his interest in a new striker following the departure of Shane Long to Southampton. Scunthorpe United announced the acquisition of a new striker yesterday lunchtime. Torquay United man Billy Key has signed a 2-year deal at the club after moving for an undisclosed fee. Hull boxer Luke Campbell defeated American Steve Trumbull in the second round of his debut professional fight in the United States. This victory means Luke is now unbeaten in 7 fights. In Rugby League, Hull FC's already slim playoff hopes are now virtually over as they suffered a 34 points to 28 defeat away at the Bradford Bulls on Sunday. Gareth Ellis scored 2 tries in the loss, which leads into this Friday's Hull derby. And back to football, we have a couple of fixtures this midweek. Scunthorpe United manager Russ Wilcox will be hoping the club don't make it 3 league defeats in 3 as they host high-flying Fleetwood Town at Glanford Park tonight. Opposing manager Graham Alexander is a familiar face to many Iron fans of the mid-90s, as he started out as an apprentice at the club, making 159 appearances and scoring 18 goals. Finally, Hull City take their next step into Europe on Thursday as they travel to face Lokeren of Belgium. City's opponents sit 6th in the Belgian Pro League with 7 points from their opening 4 games. Unfortunately, that's all for the sport we've got for you this time. If you've got any sports news to share with us, then make sure you get in contact through the usual channels. Back to you.
Thank you, Dan. Well, that's all from us. If you have any stories, whether for news or sport, then email news@estuary.tv or contact us through social media via our Twitter or Facebook pages, or simply pick up the phone and call Grimsby 01472 315 561. Until tomorrow, goodbye.